All right, welcome Daily Life. Today we have Matthew Nyland joining us to talk about a few topics as we continue our discussions for Mental Health Awareness Month. We've had some pretty kick-ass discussions, and now it's Matthew's turn, who will talk about chemical dependency and depersonalization disorder. Matt, how are you today?
Man, how you doing?
Good, good, good. So I was doing some research on this depersonalization disorder, and I read a bunch of things, and I left feeling still unaware and uneducated on what, frankly, it is. So I'm going to lean on you here to let everybody know what it is, and tell your story. So if anyone who else is dealing with this can maybe cope a little bit better. Like I said before, I never heard of it until you mentioned it in our chat. So thank you, and I'll let you lead here. So what exactly is depersonalization disorder?
Depersonalization. So, first off, let me explain what it feels like. And I think, like, everyone's had the feeling, right? Like, the best way I got to describe it, like, when I first brought it up with Vince, right? Like, it's the feeling of, you shouldn't be doing something that you're doing. I mean, that's part of it. So that's a lot of my issue there is that. But it's so much more like in groups of people, you don't feel real, right? Like you're literally in your brain thinking, hey, now, is this real? Is this real life? Is whatever you're doing per se. Like it could be
Right.
anything. Work, like a lot of times for me, it's just going in the gas station and I'll be standing in line and I'll just look around and nothing seems real to me, right? It's like I'm looking at it from a whole different view. I don't know, like, I don't, that's the best way I can explain it. Like, someone asked, is it like an out of body experience?
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. So for me, there are those times, and those times are the worst because when that happens, that means something's going on like there, but I can't control it. That's where the whole my thoughts are not connected to my actions, right? So if I'm arguing with somebody and I know I shouldn't say something or like just I shouldn't be fighting, whatever, you know what I mean? Anything along the lines, like it's like I'm watching myself do it. And with that, for like it feels like when you're watching a movie and a character thinks back and they got the little squiggly crap going
Yeah.
on. Yeah, man, that's what it is. Like, and like I feel like I'm 2 feet back from me arguing or doing whatever it is, and then I do the crap I shouldn't do, and then everything zooms back. 900% of the time, my next response is I didn't do that or I didn't say that. You know how stupid that sounds?
Right.
Like it's horrible, man.
How does it affect you physically?
So
Is there any physical ailments that go along with it?
the elements,
Like anything physical that happens? Like, are you not able to do anything?
I can't stop myself from whatever I'm not supposed to be doing. Whether that's arguing or fighting. Like I grew up fighting, right? I always had and still do a pretty strong moral that once somebody hits the ground, they're done. I'm not going to touch them, right?
Right.
But there's been times where that took over my head and I did things I didn't want to do, and that's stuff that I'll take my grave. I can't do anything about it, right? Like I have triggers, like disrespect drains it out. Like you disrespect me, especially to my face, like I can't control what's happening next. Like I know I shouldn't do something. I know I shouldn't say something, but I do it. I say it. Like I don't feel connected to reality at that moment.
So, how did you know that you had this disorder? When were you diagnosed?
Well, I mean, it's been there.
think your audio went out.
Hold on, let me move somewhere. Better.
Yeah, I can hear you good.
So anyway, so I guess was dealing with depression whole life and everything that went along with that, and then I don't know about. Let me say hi. Hi.
Hey.
Go play. So
Adorable.
about 4 years ago, I kind of got sick of hearing like you need to go to the doctor and get back on pills and this and that. So when I went, like I took the depression test or whatever it's called, and I just brought up, I'm like, this is the whole not feeling great or not being in control of what I do. And the doctor, he's like, okay, well, it could be this or this. Did you want to go down to there's down in the city's regions or something like that, one of the hospitals down there, and get checked out by a psychologist? I guess why not, right? Like, what's the worst that can happen?
I mean,
I've
look,
been
I give you credit. Not a lot of people would say yes.
well. It's kind of one of them things where it's like, wait a second, am I more messed up? You know what I mean? Like, is there more to this? Because at that point, it wasn't drinking and drugs that I could
Right.
blame it on because I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing drugs. So anyway, I went down there. They did the brain test, bladder test, uh, just talking, laying there talking, da 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 type deal. I must have been there 4 or 5 times, and that's when that girl was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is what you have." Um, they have like I can't think of it. I didn't do it. It's some crap I can't even think about it right now. It wasn't a test. It was some sort of study. I don't know. Anyway, so I just got the pills and went on my merry way. And like I ain't really even nobody around me, with the exception of my youngest son's mom, even knows because it's just not worth explaining it to them. Really, I guess. Like
Yeah.
they'll tell you, like if you talk to my mom, she'll tell you, yeah, no, he'll just sit there and stare out the window, like don't talk to him, he's distant and this and that. And so like my youngest son's mom knows because we lived in the cities. So I can't really just take off and where you going, and
Right.
like I can't tell my mom. She'd blame it on herself. And my kids' mom's there, that's not even worth my time. So yeah,
You
that all
you think
like
it's from a
that
lack of you think it's from a lack of education on their part? You don't think that if they were educated to what it is, they maybe they'd be a little more sympathetic?
no, my mom would just blame herself for it.
Okay.
And like my ex-wife, it's just she yeah, I guess kind of like I've talked about our relationship, but stuff like that with her, she ain't gonna know what to say, or and then she's gonna go tell everybody. And that's another thing. Like I don't tell people things, whether it be this or 90% of the stuff. Like you guys probably know more about my life than my own people outside of the internet know,
Right.
right? Because I don't trust anybody. Like so something like that, that's just a no go. It's like I'll keep this to myself, like I did when I thought we were doing this on Saturday or whatever.
Mhm.
Like I did have to kind of mention something to my ex-wife to take the kids, and she said why, and I told her, I kind of told her a little bit, but not enough for her to tell anyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah. I get
Like
it. Well, I'm glad we can provide a space where you're definitely comfortable, you know, expressing yourself and sharing your feelings. So this is why we do what we do, and you, along with everyone else, are a big part of it. So thank you again. Um, when I was doing some research on this thing, I came across something that was interesting, and I kind of put it in my notes here. Bear with me if you see me look away. Um, it said people with depersonalization disorder often experience trauma, such as being physically abused, witnessing domestic violence, being emotionally abused or neglected as a child, um, having a severely impaired or mentally ill parent, or having a close family member or friend unexpectedly die. Did any of that happen to you to trigger this, or were you born with this?
That's, I feel born with it.
Okay.
But with everything you've said, you know, with the exception of the parents, my parents were fine. You know what I mean? Like they just, I mean, they got divorced, but that's it. I mean, nothing crazy. But what? Yeah, I mean, I can tell you everything. Like I've had friends die. I've had like I fought with my stepdad, because he was beating on my mom. Like, I mean, all that type of stuff's happened. And I mean, I guess maybe looking back, maybe my parents getting divorced was kind of the beginning of it all.
Right.
Because I know that affected me in other ways, like sleep. I didn't sleep at all for like 2 years, really. Like, I was, shit, 10. It was a month after the Twins won the World Series, man. Like,
You would
90,
remember it that way.
October 91 was like the greatest time in my life, and November of 91 was like the worst time in my life.
So, I didn't know that. So it sounds like you've had multiple things that could have triggered this. Um, what kind of coping mechanisms outside of medication do you get? Like, is it behavioral techniques, cognitive techniques, psychotherapy? What?
Well, I mean, I have 5 kids, if that tells you a little something. um, I I soak up what I do, like work. Like when I say nobody's gonna work harder than me, like I don't say it to be cocky. Like I say it because that's the way it has to be, right? Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like that's the way it has to be. Like that's the stuff that keeps me centered slash grounded. It's just when I'm at work, kaboom, that's it. That's what we're doing. We're work. It's like times like this, especially right now with the whole can't go to school slash daycare. Like this is 2 days of just
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's bad. It's not good for my brain.
And what kind of medication are you on, or are you given?
Right now, generic Zoloft.
Okay. And you feel that helps?
Yeah, things yeah, Zoloft. Yeah, what are the generic? I want to call it chloroform. I don't know. I know it's not chloroform.
So I've seen that there's some cases that people have been cured of this, and it kind of goes away with a combination of therapies and medication and stuff. What was told to you about it?
Well, they wanted me to do yeah, them therapies. That must be the same thing I'm thinking of there because it was something psychoanalytical. I don't know, something like this.
Mhm.
But I didn't do those. I mean, I've done like the same, pretty much besides the Zoloft or whatever it is. Like I've done the same thing as when I quit drinking and doing drugs. I just center myself. Now it doesn't always work because I almost got fired a couple months ago because I had one of the things where I had a surgeon not act very nice and I jumped off my body and I was in HR 2 days later. So
You want to tell everybody what you do for a living?
I'm a janitor. I got a fancy term, but I don't
Where
get. I'm a union janitor. How's that?
where is it that you work at?
At Essential Health up in Duluth, or well,
Uh,
down in Duluth.
You're seeing it all right now, and you've seen
Yeah,
it.
yeah. It's I try like yeah. I get mad sometimes on the internet. I was arguing with this guy all day about it, and then I just stopped because it was worthless.
Right.
Like I don't know what to tell people. I don't have an answer. Like, trust me, my life's hell right now. Like, it's job security, I guess.
Yeah, I get it.
But
it. It's amazing. One of the things that I was reading was that, do you know how many people in America suffer from this percentage wise?
10 or 12%. Two.
2% of the population.
Okay, well, it's fucked up.
Yeah, I say that because I like when I read that, one of the things I immediately thought of was, if 2% of the population have this, then the people that can help cure it, I'm sure that population is even less.
Yeah, well, and but that's kind of brings you back, or back to your point, is how many people are going to take that next step,
Right.
right? Like for me, I got tired of hearing about go to the doctor, like things you do, things you say, right? Depression, da da da. That's the only reason I went. And the doctor was like, "Oh well, I think we might have this. You should go to this different doctor." And that doctor was like, that psychologist was like, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write a book, and someday that book is gonna be called "Shit I Can't Make Up If I Tried."
And I'm gonna name all of you motherfuckers.
But
So
nah, man, like I don't know. I guess to me, it just made me laugh. I guess like I can't make this up. Like, like if I would have been you and you would have been me,
mhm.
I'd been like, what the hell is he talking about, right? Like,
When you told me what it was, I did some research on it, and I was blown away. And I mean, I'd never heard of this before, and I know why. Not that many people deal with it, and
yeah,
immediately, I saw how little people have it, and I immediately thought, how many people can help these people that have it, because it's a small population. And how many of those people are in the Midwest versus big cities, like New York or LA and stuff like that. And you kind of hope that people don't get misdiagnosed or undiagnosed because of it. I mean, the things that can trigger it are pretty,
very
they're
wrong.
pretty drastic things that a lot of people have gone through.
Well, and that's kind of where I look at it too. Though, is like if you look at yourself, right? How many times in your life have you done something knowing you shouldn't be doing this?
Right.
And to me, that's what it is. Like, because 90% of the time, that's what it is for me. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't say this, and that's when I can't control what I'm doing or saying. I mean, for me, I mean, it's surreal, right? Like, even when it's not a bad thing, like just going to a grocery store and like, wait, the hell is this real? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
am I really grabbing this box of Little Debbie's? Like,
So you don't experience it solely with like aggressive moments. It could just be doing anything that you'll feel it.
the aggressive moments are the worst. That's when that's when like I said, the whole thing in the head, and I can't control. I get the other stuff where it's just like, wait, is this real? Am I grabbing this, or is that car driving down that way, or am I imagining it?
Right.
I don't know. I guess that's the best way I can explain. Like it's there. It's like I said, like the whole way back when with the whole thing with James and when he had blocked me in baseball life, and I wrote that stupid post about him.
Yeah.
Like that was something I watched myself do, knowing that this is dumb. Don't do this. Like
Right.
there's no way you're gonna make this funny. Nothing good is gonna come out of it. I can show you right where I was. I can walk you to the space. I can tell you what I was doing that day that led to that point,
But you couldn't
and then I
stop.
posted it. Right? No, and I'm fucking come on, man. I'm damn near 40 years old. I don't need to do all this stupid stuff. Like nothing's gonna come out of this. Like,
Right.
and it didn't. Right? Like, just cause a little extra drama. It wasn't even funny.
This was very, like I said, enlightening, and I was just blown away. And I think I could read about this forever because I have so many questions and so many, what ifs. I look at that list of things I rattled off to you, and personally, I've dealt with every single thing on that list.
That's it. See, that's it. Like, and that's it can be just that little though. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
just a little post, something. Your thoughts and your actions they're not coexisting. Like one is doing one thing and the other's doing the other. And
That's
I
right.
feel like everyone's had that. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I don't think it's that big of a thing. I don't think, for me at least, I'm like in the upper echelon of people with that. Like, I know I deal with it, but I don't have everyday issues surrounding it.
You manage. I mean, you also. How long has it been since you've been diagnosed?
As right after I got divorced, that was 5 years now, actually.
I mean, you
Uh,
have some time under your belt and dealing with it and knowing what's going on with your body.
yeah, little under 5 years. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you can feel it. There's a feeling, there's a change, like, and you do think, like, what is that real? Like, am I? I keep going back to the same thing of being in a grocery store. I don't know,
Right.
like, that's it. And it's like, or did I just say something? You know, like that feeling, like if you say something, no one hears you or even ignores you, right? Like, did I just say something? And you literally in your head, you're like, did I say words? No one acknowledged words, so then you get confused.
Well, and I know you also suffer or suffered from chemical dependency.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about that.
well, that's like I'm not just a forewarning here. I'm not an AA speaker when it comes to chemical dependency. Like, I mean, I grew up around it. It was no big deal. I the first time I
What?
got
Just
drunk,
so we're clear, what is it?
drugs, alcohol,
Combination.
alcohol for sure, cocaine second off, anything else. Well, I shouldn't say anything else, but meth third. I don't really put acid and weed and mushrooms into that because that's a whole different thing.
Right.
That was never an issue, you know what I mean? Like, but definitely alcohol and cocaine, man. Because like I remember the first time I went to an actual party. It was at a hotel. I think I was 14, drinking cocaine, all that, weed, cigarettes. Typical 14-year-old party, I guess. I don't know. Some people typical, other people not, right? And passed out, and I woke up, and I remember as I was leaving the room thinking, like, this is what I want to do with my life. Like, I can deal with this. I like this. You know what I mean? And after that, it was just kind of on. And the funny part was, up until what was it, 11th grade, I think. Like, if you looked at my grades, you would never know. Like, my grades were good.
Right.
I had college classes. Like, I played baseball. I was good at baseball. I loved it. I was good. Like, I'm not like going to the pros good, but good enough to play until I couldn't play no more as far as, you know, high school stuff went. Maybe college, who knows, but that junior year hit, then drugs hit, that alcohol hit, man, I couldn't hit. I could not hit a ball whatsoever. Like, I was still catching, that's what I did, and call a game like nobody's business, but I couldn't hit a ball. That made everything even worse. Like, that literally, like, depressed me. Because, like, I mean, I was never power hit or nothing like that, but I was good.
Right.
Striking out every damn time against every damn team, whether it be a weak team or a strong team from the cities, right? Like, I mean, so anyway, then ended up on the reservation for a while there, and I've made no secrets about that. That's what I did: drinking, fighting, drugs, sex. You know, no light's not very good in here, but so then my first kid was born, and then I was 20 when she was born, And man, I thought I was it, right? I thought I'm this parent, nobody can tell me anything. Nah, little did I know, my drinking and drug use was actually getting worse at that point. So I mean, it went on and on and on for as 2002. So yeah, 2005. Um, hold on a second. I'm sorry.
Uh,
So anyway, I'm gonna leave off. So I mean, like I said, 2002, 2003, like there was a lot of cocaine there. All the cocaine was coming from Pennsylvania. We knew where it was coming from. It was cheap. It was good, but cheap. Around that time, my daughter's mom went back to the res with my daughter, and that's when things just went kaput, right? Like, and that was around the time meth was coming in. Like, I mean, crystal meth was always a thing, but that was kind of down towards Mexico area. Texas had a lot of it, Arizona, New Mexico. You didn't really hear about it up here. You heard about it, but you didn't have it.
right.
People started learning how I'm making it. Whole different story. So that came in. So we go down the Twin Cities, North Minneapolis, get it, come back up, or go to White Earth. So we thought we were the, shit. So it was the winter, it was late 2005 when all that crap caught up. Like, I'd been in jail, I dropped out of college at this point. Like, there was nothing in my life besides drinking and drugs. And I got kicked out, and I was literally homeless. It's cold out in Minnesota in the winter, man. Like, so I stayed out of all places in the convention center, in like the back hallways, because I'd worked there for a while, so I knew where I could be without nobody coming in.
Hmm.
And finally, I sucked it up, called my mom, and stayed with her. But I couldn't last because I'm drinking and drugs. And at that point, I couldn't sleep, couldn't do nothing. So I ended up down in the cities going to treatment. And I don't know. Like, after that, man, it's been sober. That's what I said. Like, I'm not a speaker. I don't know. Like, the best way I can describe how I beat it is I just don't do it. Like, I didn't change my friends. I didn't change my pool playing habits.
Right.
I didn't change. I mean, I changed my area code, I suppose, but
Did you have a an aha moment, like something happened and you were like, okay, I'm not doing this anymore?
well, I was pretty much homeless, and I needed to figure out something. So that's when I figured I'll go to the county and get a Rule 25, which is a alcohol and drug assessment.
Mm.
Within 5 minutes of after filling out my questionnaire, the guy was like, "Well, do you have someone I can talk to?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Because if what you're saying is true, you need to go right now." So
Wow.
they called my mom. My mom's like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Okay, so you leave on April 6th, I think it was, or no, May 6th." So early April. This was early April 2006. I was supposed to leave May 6th. Well, we were on the res drinking. I mean, I got a couple weeks left. And my friend was like, let's go pick somebody up. And it was like, I knew better. Like, I didn't even, like, we were trashed, right? And he was driving, and we got on the freeway. And, like, I knew I didn't want to be driving with this guy. Well, we made it probably about 20 miles down the road, and he hit the ditch. So we get out, and it's 3, 4 in the morning at this point, and it's this long, just dark road in between two small cities. There's cars going by, but ain't nobody trying to pick the native and the white dude up at 3 in the morning off the side of the road. I'll tell you that much. It's
No
just
matter
something,
what city you're in, you're not getting that.
no, ain't nobody doing that.
Yeah.
So anyway, the res cops ended up coming, and they're like, "Who's driving? Who's driving?" Well, I had an aha moment, right?
There
I
you
said, "I
go.
don't know, man. The dude that was driving took off running down the road." And he's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Yeah, I don't know. He said he had a warrant or something." He's like, "Well, the van said you." What's in your name? I was like, I wasn't even driving. Did you see me? Right? Because nobody was in the vehicle.
Right.
This, right? So dude's like, okay, well, you guys got to find your own way home. We're like 5 miles away from anything, right? We're like in the
Mhm.
woods. So we start walking, and the state trooper pulls up, and he wasn't having any of my story. I tried again.
Yeah, he know you were full of shit.
Yeah, he did. I wasn't driving, it was him.
Right.
But for whatever reason, to this day, I think about it maybe once a week. Like, I literally raised my hand like I was in class, right? Said I was driving. That dude was so pissed off, he like slammed me against the trunk, and he still like he took me to jail, but he still made other dude walk to the casino.
He knew deep down you weren't driving, probably.
No, he was driving. I took the fall. Like he would have went to prison. Like he was facing 4 years in prison for any offense at that point. And it's okay. I knocked boots with his daughter after that, so we were even. For real, man. I got out of jail. It was right around Easter time, and I got out of jail and went over to his house about 4 days later, and basically the next week we spent in the basement.
That's funny. That
It
is
was a nice.
definitely an aha moment, man.
Yeah. So then I got my court dates pushed back because my attorney was like, "Well, he's going to treatment right now. Can we just hold off until after he gets out of treatment?" So I didn't have to be back and forth.
Mhm.
Dumbest part about the treatment thing too, right? So the night before we go, I get just obliterated, right? I kick in the door of this dude's house, obliterated drunk. My friend, he's knocking on the door. It's 11 in the morning. There's other dudes outside trying to pick me up, bring me down to Twin Cities, down to St. Paul there for treatment. And I roll over and I got this girl, and I'm like, oh, fuck me, right? So I stagger out there because I'm smashed still. Like, according to her, we went to bed at 6 in the morning. I don't even remember anything after that dude's house. Like, so we get down there. My blood pressure's through the roof. Everything's through the roof. They send me to detox in Ramsey County Detox in downtown St. Paul, right? Like a block away from Excel
Mhm.
Stadium where the Wild play there. That was the worst place I've ever been in my life, man. It was so bad. It was like jail was a cakewalk compared to this place.
Why?
There's about 7 beds lined up in each room. You got a little blanket, a little pillow, and then they wake you up to give you drugs, to give you Valium. Like they would wake me up to give me Valium. Like, why would you do that, right? And those dudes down there, like, oh, they're gonna kick me out. I'll see you guys in an hour. See you in 2 hours because they had nowhere to go, right? So they get kicked out of detox, go to liquor store, get smashed, get sent back to treatment. So they had a place to, or detox. So they had a place to stay.
Wow.
Yeah, man. So anyway, they finally let me out. Well, the treatment company, they didn't send me no damn cab. Now, mind you, it's 90 degrees out. I have torn ligaments in my knees. I have a Dwayne Wade jersey, a black t-shirt, jeans, and a full soft leg cast, right? I don't know where I am. So I walked back, I took the exact way the van took to get me there. I get back, right? It probably took me an hour and a half. This nurse started tripping out on me because I was sweating, right?
Mhm.
He's on drugs. He's on drugs. That's why he disappeared. Look at him sweat. Another nurse was like, "Are you for real? Like this dude? Just look at him. He's in all black. He's in jeans. He has a cast. He has a cast on his leg, and it's 90 degrees out. Should he not be sweating right now?" They still made me take a drug test. It
Of
came
course.
back clean because, or no, it came back with the Valium, which is a whole different story. But I mean, I could go on and on about the whole. That Valium really fucked my life up for a while there in treatment because they kept sending me to the doctor because I kept having drugs in my system. Well, no
I
shit, Sherlock.
I often say sometimes the drugs they treat you with to get off of drugs is just as addictive, if not.
Yeah, and then when you take a drug test and they find barbiturates in your system, they want to know why you have barbiturates in your system.
Right.
Well, because you're giving me barbiturates. Even I know this, and I'm not a nurse.
That's out of control.
I mean, it worked though, right? Because it wasn't your anyway. Let's try to recenter now. It wasn't your traditional AA based rehab. It was a health realization,
Hmm.
kind of, I guess, in a way, the same thing as a like the whole thing with the depersonalization, right? Like the basis of this treatment was to paint your picture to figure out what you were doing, why things happened, what your triggers were, what was happening in your life, what you could change, instead of just doing 12-step books. Like, and that helped a lot because, man, like I've done AA, like it's cool, I don't mind going, but it's really not a thing for me. Like, that health realization is more than likely what kept me sober because I was able to identify in my life from my parents' divorce to being screwed over by a couple girls or, like triggers in my life that regular AA meetings wouldn't have helped me with.
I mean, so how long has it been since you touched any hard drugs?
Um, since then, I mean, well,
Wow.
the day after I got out, I had a little bit of meth. And the thing was, like I tell everyone, alcohol was my thing, right? So even when I was doing meth, when I was doing coke, I always had alcohol. But I knew I couldn't drink. So I did this meth. And it was the worst time I ever had in my whole damn life because I couldn't drink. So like I stayed up for like 6 hours playing Madden. And that was the last time. Like I'm like, this is not a thing. Like I need alcohol if I'm doing drugs, and I can't have alcohol because I'm gonna die. And you know what I mean? Like
So it's safe to say you also haven't touched any alcohol since?
no,
That's a
no.
long
I
time,
think
man. Congratulations.
thanks. I think I may have accidentally had a vodka Gatorade, like just a small drink of it that
Right.
was left over in the fridge, but that's not my fault. And I didn't get drunk and I spit it out right away.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't count that. But you said earlier twice that you're not an AA speaker. I don't know what that means, but I can tell you just listening to your story and listening to all the things you went through from being homeless to being injured to getting arrested and spending some time in jail to be where you're at clean, for so many years, man. You got to give yourself some credit here.
I do, but when I say I'm not AA speaker, like I'm very upfront. I don't like having to be sober, right? Like I want to be like how I'm a small part of the population with depersonalization.
Hmm.
I wish I could be the large part of the population that could just have a couple drinks. There's no such thing.
Yeah, you
There's no
can't be
such
a social drinker.
like I like give me all or give me none. Like I don't want to catch a buzz. I don't want to go out have a beer with dinner. Okay, I want to get drunk.
Right.
Let's get drunk. Let's see what happens. Like, and that's kind of when I say I'm not an AA type speaker person. I'm very out front. Like I have no problems telling you, no man, I want to drink a beer. Or I really could use a whiskey right about now, man. Because at the end there, that's what I was doing. Like I tell people I was trying to kill myself without killing myself because I was taking beer bongs straight whiskey, like 175s of fucking Jim Beam or whatever, like straight down the beer bongs as much as I could to get as drunk as I could, as quick as I could. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think that makes you a better AA speaker than most AA speakers.
I don't
Being
know.
honest with you.
Well, some people, man, I don't know if you've noticed over a few months we've been friends here on Facebook. Like, if I bring it up, people are kind of like, about it. Like, don't think that way. Come on, man. Let me think that way because it's the way I think.
That's just the way you process information, and at the end of the day, however you process information and however you think about it and however you deal with it is clearly working. I
Yeah.
mean, it's working. It's getting you through the days and nights.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
fuck their
this is
opinion. It works.
like I got tobacco. I got, I mean, if I could quit tobacco, that'd be one thing. Don't get me wrong. But I got it, right? I had the gym. Shit, I had the gym. You should have seen a picture from me 3 years ago. My fucking biceps were as wide as my shoulders. Things change though. I
Right.
got kids now, custody of kids, which you can't get much better than that, right? Especially as being a dad.
I was gonna tell you, man, that's very admirable, man. I admire that.
Yeah.
For
Well,
those who don't know, Matthew does have legal custody of his children, and it was a long, hard fought battle, and he was successful. So kudos to you, brother.
thanks. So yeah, I mean that's what I do now. Like I fish. I right now it sucks because you can't really fish. We're waiting
Right.
for ice, but it's not something you gotta deal with. It's all good. I mean, there's no. I tell my brother because he still deals with it
Mhm.
with alcoholism. Like, well, how do you do it? How do you do it? Like, I don't know, man. I just don't. Like, I have two choices. I know the next time I drink, that's the end. Whether I go to jail, prison, or I end up dying. Like, I know that. Like when I say, like I just said, that ain't no lie. I got witnesses about how much I was beer bonging straight up whiskey out the bottle through the beer bong into my system, right?
Well,
Like, and that's one of the main reasons relapse kills is because the addicts, alcoholics, I mean addicts, more general term, um, their brain once they start using it automatically goes back to the last time they were using, right? So if you're shooting up whatever, well, I can't use heroin. I'm thankful I never had to deal with that. But if you're smoking half a gram of meth a night, you're automatically going to think you can smoke a half a gram of meth a night, and you sober 5 6 years, your body is not going to handle that. That's going to shut your body down. Like I know if I were to drink, I'd be like, oh, I remember when I was drinking this, this, and this. Well, that first time I drank, I'll drink this, this, and this. I'm probably gonna end up with alcohol poisoning because my body ain't gonna be able to process it. Because like any other drug,
right.
like that's one thing I got working for me is knowing that being an addict, I can't go back to how I was, and that's what like it frustrates me when people say just quit. You know what I mean? Just quit. Well, it's really not that simple. People tell you relapse is okay. I don't personally believe that because if you're relapsing, you're making a decision, right? I didn't decide to become an alcoholic. My actions, I mean, I suppose did. That I'd never said, oh, it just happened. If I start drinking again now, that's on me. I can't blame that on nobody but myself. I know what'll happen. But I had a point to that. Then I got sidetracked.
You were
Yeah,
talking about not being able to do anything because you go back to the last time you did it.
yeah. Well, and that's it. Like, if I do that, if I went back to how I was, because that's what I know. My body isn't going to handle it. For one, my body's in a whole different shape. I'm not the same mentally, physically. I'm not the same way as I was close to 15 years ago. So nothing plus. And honestly, it sounds funny and people think it's funny when I say it, but social media is another reason I stay sober. You've seen some of the dumb crap I post, right?
Hmm.
Imagine me being drunk. Okay. No, me posting on Facebook or Instagram being drunk. No, thank you.
Yeah, it keeps you, not only that, I think the opposite happens. It keeps you entertained and it keeps your mind focused on other things that aren't, chemical dependent.
Yeah. Well, that too, like even when I should be sleeping.
It's funny. I've one of these days I'll have my AMA, and I'll tell you guys my story. But I've spent a lot of my childhood in NA meetings, because of my biological dad.
Really?
And
Or
what
like
you,
Al
uh,
like Al-Anon?
no, heroin, cocaine,
Well, I'm
like,
saying no. I'm saying like with the meetings themselves, were they like Al-Anon meetings?
no, they were Narcotics Anonymous.
Okay, no,
Yeah.
okay, I see what you're saying. All
Yeah.
right.
And I've heard a lot of different stories from different addicts. And what you just said about you going back to the last time you took, that's probably the most simplistic way and like best way to capture it.
Yeah,
Like that was pretty damn good. I don't know if if you've said that before, if someone said it to you, but the way you just process that and say you immediately go back to the last time you used and how much you used and how you felt, that struck a chord with me because it's very simplistic. It's a basic way of saying this is how I feel. When you put it that way, it's like damn, like you said, the body can't take whatever amounts of whatever you're using at now that you could then, because your tolerance is much lower now. So hearing you say that just kind of brought back a lot of stuff, and I'm like, damn, I wish it could be that simple for people to think that way. So that was pretty damn good. Thank you.
yeah. Well, there was one other thing, and like, because I don't shit on NA or NA or
Hmm.
AA. Like you're sober, you're sober. I don't care how you get sober, how you stay sober. But when I was down in treatment, they did have an AA people like little group come and talk. And there was one story. This just normal looking guy from the suburbs, right? He's like, yeah, I drank all my life and da da da. Well, I got sober, and I was sober for 10 years. My wife went to work or wherever she went. My son fell down the stairs, cracked his head open, and I couldn't drive. First time I got drunk in 10 years, my son cracked his head open and I couldn't drive him to the hospital. I'll tell you what, man, that has stuck with me,
Of course.
right? Because 15 years, I mean, 10 years, 2 months. I don't, you got 2 months, you got 2 months as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
2 months is just as good as 15 years if you can do it. I mean, you got to want to, though, but that story stuck with me. Like, this dude was sober 10 years, decided to start drinking. That day, his son fell down, cracked his head, and he had to call his brother to bring him to the hospital. He's like, yeah, I don't want that for me.
Yeah. Nor your kids. I mean, like you said, you have custody of your kids, and you can't afford to get drunk. You would lose everything in the
Yeah,
blink of an eye. So you have some extra motivation.
no, that's for real.
And like you said, I mean that no matter how much time you are clean, doesn't matter as long as you're clean. And
And
one of the things that always stood out to me in those NA meetings was, at the end of every meeting, they had the different little keychains which represent however long you've been clean. And I don't know if it's like that now, but I always remembered the biggest ovation and the biggest cheer always came for the person that got that day one keychain.
yeah,
That day one keychain was the biggest moment in that room. That room belonged to those people more than anyone else, more than someone who was clean 10 years or 8 years or 1 year. That day one keychain was kind of like that moment where everyone embraced, that one or two people, how many of people were at that meeting with their first one. So yeah, I mean, you're totally right. I see that, or I saw that in that community where they embraced, day one being the most important day of them all. And I've seen people who would have, multiple chips or keychains for different years. And, I would go back with my dad to a meeting and I'd see the same person celebrating a month after having a couple of years. Or you've seen multiple people celebrating multiple day ones because they just kept falling off the wagon, but someone cared enough to bring them back to a meeting.
yeah. And that's it. You have to have day one.
Yeah.
You don't have year eight without day one. I know that sounds cliche, but
Oh, you're right.
honestly,
You're
if
right.
you can't take the first day, like day one is the most important. And I'm in a lot of on Facebook. I'm in a lot of sobriety groups, and it's the same way. Like I have 6 hours clean, right? Someone will post that, and you'll see more comments for that guy or girl than you'll see for someone like me that posts I have 14 years clean. I'm fine with that, right? Like you give that dude, if that's what he needs, if that's what he has to do to stay sober, 6 hours, post about it, let him, hey man, cool. All right, just let this next six in. Like you make a day. A day will turn into a week into a year. So it's not easy staying sober. So I mean, if you're trying, like even like with the dads group, I mean, there's a whole subgroup of recovery.
Hmm.
Like it's the same way, you know what I mean? Like there'll be people like, oh yeah, I'm quitting drinking tonight. If you go in the comments, right, it'll be if you need anything, message me. They'll straight up give dudes numbers, like here's my number, call me if you need to talk. Like hundreds of, well, hundreds. of comments just saying, do this. If you need help to get through this, call me. It don't matter what time. Don't matter that I'm living in England. You know what I mean? Like, people want people to recover. People that recovered want people to recover, I should say. The people
Absolutely.
that don't want people to recover are the ones that don't want to recover, right?
No, you're
But
right. And I think a lot of people focus on the negative aspects of social media. You always hear it, but I think there's not enough emphasis on the positive sides of it. I mean, look what we're doing and where we're going to be posting this. It's important. Those discussions are important, and those relationships are important, whether they're virtual or in person. So,
well, that's it, and that's like us. Even with me posting like daily life or even parent life over posting on my main page, right? Like, that's the same thing with recovery with a lot of these people, right? They're posting because they don't want their people to know about it.
right,
Like, maybe they failed the first 53 times and they know there's going to probably get some negative feedback, right? Like, because the negative feedback is there. Like, if I started drinking again, like, the negative feedback would be there. That's the same thing. Like, if John Doe over there, been struggling with coke, and every month I'm quitting. Pretty soon people are like, yeah, that's what you always say. You go to a different group, like even say like if I had that like daily life, I go to be like, yeah, you got this. You need something, da 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 da,
right,
and that's how it is. The recovery groups. I mean, nobody cares if that's your 53rd time trying to quit. Let's just get it done.
right. We'll give you encouragement 53 times if we have to.
Yeah, and that's it. That's all you gotta do. Ain't no big deal. Like, addiction sucks. Like, nobody asked for it. I'd be arguing all the time because it's in the medical books. Okay, it's a thing. Like, I don't, I made the choice to drink. I made the choice to, put coke on my nose. Like, but I didn't realize that I was gonna be homeless twice because of it. I wasn't gonna see one of my kids for like 2 years or year and a half, 2 years because of it. I didn't know all that.
Right.
I didn't know all that. I never really drank. But at the same time, if I wouldn't have been drinking and doing drugs, I never would have had my first kid. So, like, I don't know what you want to do about that.
No, definitely. It has its pluses and minuses, I guess, like everything.
That's it. Like, you can't change the past because then everything's going to change. But I had a lot of fun, and that's part of it. Like, people don't like hearing that fact, but I did have a lot of fun.
You had a lot of fun. You learned a lot of lessons also, and you can teach a lot of people. So,
And that's it. Like, I'm still paying back a lot of things over that happened at that time period, even close to 15 years later. There's still a couple of apologies that I need to make. You know what I mean, to people that I wasn't necessarily good to that were good to me during that time period. Like, it's never ending. Like, to recover, like, there is no recovery. Like, to me, recovery, full blown recovery is death. Like, you got to recover every day. You can't. You're not going to just wake up and be like, oh, okay, no, we're done. That's not the way this works. I understand that. Like, you got to understand, know, want to not live that way, I guess you could say. Like, if you know, then you're gonna be good. If you don't, then you're pretty much well gonna be on your 53rd time. Like, and there's just some people that don't want it. Like, honestly, it is what it is. There's some people they don't. They like that life. I know a girl. She lives well, lives about 20 miles away. We grew up together, drank, did drugs. She straight up told me, she's like, I will always smoke meth. I don't want to do anything else. I have a job. It pays the bills. My bills are paid, but I will always smoke meth. I mean, I don't know what to say to that. You know what I
right.
mean?
I mean,
I,
everyone is
I,
different, I guess.
yeah, like, and then there's the people that just do drugs and don't care about anybody around them. And I got cousins like that, friends like that. Like, addiction is hard. It don't matter because he also had addiction to personality. Like, I'm quiet. Like I don't talk a lot. I don't open up. I won't, if I'm meeting girls, which is always fun, right? I'll straight up tell them, like, look, I'm not small talk. Don't, like, either let's have a conversation. I don't give a crap how your day went. Okay. So when I ask you, just tell me good
Right.
or tell me bad and tell me why, because I'm not going to ask why. Like, I'm not good with small talk. I know I'm not. Like,
Give me the mean potatoes, right?
yeah, just I mean, let's talk about whatever. Like, I don't know how I got sidetracked like that, but I mean, oh, because the personalities, right? Like, and drinking and drugs ultimately help me be more outgoing. Obviously, like I'm introverted. I'm oh man,
Extroverted.
yeah, extroverted introvert. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna say you're not an introvert, at least not from what I can tell.
nah, well, I'm comfortable with y'all. That's the thing,
Right.
right? Like, there's, like, I don't know. I have my times. I'm just not a small talk type guy. And when I was drinking and doing drugs, that's how I'm trying to tie this all in together, I guess. Like, that helped me be able to just sit down with whoever, you know, talk about whatever. Like, because I can't do that normally.
I was like you said, it's always a struggle.
Yeah.
You're never not working for it. One thing, I've heard all the countless stories, and then one thing that always stuck with me was I don't remember his name. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember something he said that always stuck with me. He was like, every day is day one, and he was talking about how he stood clean and what his motivation was. And he said he treats every day like day one. And for whatever reason, that always just stuck with me.
Well, I mean, that's 100% correct. Like, you have to get through a day. You might as well call it day one.
Yeah.
Like, you have 24 hours. You got to be sober 24 hours. If that's what helps him, I get it. Like, I'm having a hard time trying. Like, I get what he's saying. Like, I guess I'm just trying to make it explain it better for me. But I get it because
Yeah.
that's how he did it. Like, he knew how hard day one was. He knew what it took to get over day one. So if he uses day one every day, he knows he's gonna be all right.
Right. Yeah. It
It's,
always stuck with me, and something that, just always resonated, when I hear these stories. It's just something I always hear. So,
well, yeah, and that's like, I mean, like that guy had 10 years sober. He got complacent, and look what happened. And for me, I don't want that. Like you said, it's gone. Like I'm done. Like I'll start drinking again. It's over with.
yeah, you have a lot to lose. The
Uh,
pros and the cons, you have a lot more to lose than you can gain from a high. So,
but man, the thing is, like, they make so much more fun-looking alcohol now than they did back then. Like that's bullshit, man. For real though.
stick with the water, brother. Stick with the water.
Yeah, my drink. I got my another room there.
Oh shit, that was great. That was great. Well, is there anything you'd like to say to these people before we wrap up here?
I don't know.
All right,
I
so
don't.
let me tell you this. Let's If we have someone in the group that is suffering with this and maybe haven't said anything, look in the camera and tell them something.
Man, every day, like Henry's person there said, is day one. Like you can get sober, but you have to want it. Like that's it. Like to be sober, you have to want to be sober. If you don't, then it's going to be day one negatively. It's never going to be a positive day one. Like that's the biggest thing I learned watching my brother go through it. He doesn't want to be sober. He says he wants to be sober, but he will never put emotion in to be sober. I can't explain it any better than that. Like you have to want it, and from there you have to figure out what way staying sober works for you. Whether that's NA meetings or gym or hobbies, whatever. I mean, that's the only way to do it, really. And you have to want it. And so I tell my brother every damn day I talk to him, basically. I love him to death, but I won't answer the phone after 8 p.m. So, yeah.
I mean, I can't say it any better myself. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you doing this. I know our schedules were kind of all over the place and we were able to finally nail it down. And I'm glad we did because this was amazing and informative. And you know, I love you for doing this. Thank you so much. I guarantee there's a lot of people in the groups and people who will see this on YouTube who are not in the groups who will thank you for this. So I appreciate you and thank you very much. I'm going to put this up in the group.
Hold
Uh,
on one second.
yes,
I got
please.
one more thing to say.
Oh yeah,
Okay, this, and here's the thing, right? You know how I talk about my five kids? You guys and only three people that I know I have five kids. Because you know how I talk about my, well, you would know or see me talk about my daughter's brother, who's my kid, right?
hmm
Would be technically my oldest son. Yeah, I didn't even know he was born until their mom died. I knew he was born, but I didn't know he was mine. So like my mom, she's been poking her head around here because she knows I was doing this and she wants to. Like I said, man, I don't trust people, right? Like that's why I kept being quiet at times. But yeah, she doesn't even know she has another grandson. We can't tell her because she can't. That's a no go there. Nuh-uh. No way. I love her. She's helped me a lot. Don't be wrong, but there's just some things we can't tell her.
I get it.
But so yeah, you guys are basically the only people that know I have actually have five kids.
Well, thank you for sharing with us, brother. We definitely appreciate it.
Not a problem. This was
I'm going to
good.
put this up in the group and we'll have some Q&A on it and feel free to answer whatever questions people may pose.
Ah, man.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Hey, you too.
All right.